What is up, everyone? It's johtojonny here, and today we actually have some new screenshots for Pokemon Legends ZA, and these are from the Japanese website mostly, but there's also other screenshots that YouTubers have covered from other variations of the website, and we're going to go over those. But first I want to go over all the ones that they have not talked about, because there's a lot of them. They just keep adding them to these websites, and there's so many now. They don't all necessarily reveal anything important, but some of them do, and we're gonna go over them in real time together, because look, bam, we're looking at it together. Now, this is loosely translated from Japanese to English on this website here, so you're gonna be reading it in English, but it might not make complete and total sense, and that's because the translation is loose. So let's go ahead and get into all the different tabs. There's so many different tabs. And look, there's even new art that I haven't really seen elsewhere either. And we're gonna be seeing more of these as we go through. This is the Japanese website specifically right here so far. So here's our first screenshot that we have not seen in any of the other languages. Something I didn't notice before is these parts here. Some of the windows have some window dressing on top of them, like the plants. And I didn't notice that before. I thought it was the same thing copy pasted. And it's still copy paste, don't get me wrong, but at least now we have two different variations of windows being copy pasted on the same building. We just have Totodile here attacking Mareep. Nothing special there. The grass looks like it's blowing in the wind though. That looks pretty good. I think we've seen the grass blow in the wind in the official footage, but this looks very intense here. I don't know if the wind maybe sometimes howls more intensely. That would be nice. Now let's get on to the Battle Royale page, and you'll see here, here's the full version of this side of the art. So in the English version of the website, we had this like diagonally cut version where it's like partly this and partly that last artwork that we saw. But here's the full artwork of the nighttime variation, and then you saw the daytime variation in the other tab. All right, so there's a couple of screenshots here that I haven't seen before. So we can look at this one. It's, again, not really anything special. It's Houndour versus Totodile and our trainers. They are very close in this battle, is something I'm noticing. So that's kind of interesting. But other than that, I don't really see anything particularly special, except maybe these like dumpsters and garbages in the back. This trainer's outfit's cool, but you know what? The style in this game has just been good in general, as far as I've seen. So nothing new there. There is one down here I haven't seen, this Pancham. Oh my gosh, I'm probably butchering whatever this Pokemon's name is. I'm pretty sure it's called Pancham. And it's just getting stunned. This is when you hit it from the back or hit the trainer from the back. Are you hitting the Pokemon or the trainer from the back? I forgot. Either way, you get extra time to your turn if you do this, and that's what this chance symbol here is for. And we just never saw that with Pancham. Technically, this is a new screenshot, and so is this. Let's look at this one. You can see the rank of the person here when you target them. That's kind of interesting. Rank X is this person. I don't remember if we saw the name of Rank X's person, but you know, their name is going to start with an X, whatever it is. I do love the neon lights. I like how it kind of curves around the building itself here. I really thought the neon lights were only going to be what we see over here, where it like borders an open space so you can't walk to it, but it also borders the building, which I like because it just adds some, you know, visual flair to the scenery. And I think the nighttime segments are gonna look really good because of the neon lights. Kind of gives that futuristic cyberpunk aesthetic that we really want. This is also technically a new screenshot right here. And this is all Switch 2 footage. You'll notice that the images are very crisp. I don't know if it's gonna translate that well to the YouTube video, but the images are very crisp on the website itself. Now, Mareep is okay, the Mareep is not chasing us. I think this is our Mareep right here. And there's this glowing thing in the back here, which I think other screenshots, even on the English version, showed us are tasks that you can pick up and they'll get you extra points or something to get to your next rank. Now we see two trainers here. We see the trainer with the grass type monkey. I forget its name. There's three of them in that trio. And then we see a trainer over here with the Pancham. So they're chilling. Here's a screenshot I really like, but I'm just a big Totodile fanboy. So this looks really good. We got Totodile and our trainer hanging out down here. I'm kind of sad because you can't really see Totodile when I close up like this with the way that I have to crop on the here. But you can see it here. You know, it's a fuller picture than what you're seeing when I go onto the full image to see closer. But again, Doesn't matter too much anyway, except actually look at this. This glowing object's a different color. It's golden instead of the blue that we've seen in every other screenshot. So I wonder if that means some tasks will be worth more points and you'll be able to tell by the gold versus the blue, maybe some other colors too. I assume gold would be the best, you know, maybe worth the most points, and the tasks will probably be harder. Someone might also be able to glean something with the mini map up here. Maybe in all these images, if I don't notice something in there, comment it down below, please. Feel free if you notice something within these images. Here we have an image of Flaffy doing some paralysis attack onto the Pavilion. And you know what? Okay, there is a similar image to this on the English website. And it actually shows here, now this is in Japanese, but on the English one I read it, and it showed that it was describing what the move does. Actually, this is describing the light screen that Pavilion is using. And it says here, it explains that the light screen will help protect them against special attacks. So you will actually see in real time what the status effects are when a Pokemon performs them. And I actually really appreciate that, because sometimes in the past, Pokemon games have been very vague with how they have described how moves work. You know, a Pokemon will use light screen and it'll be like, oh, they're just extra protected, or, you know, something vague like that. And I didn't always quite know, especially when I was younger, I didn't always quite know what those moves were doing. But now they're going to explain it right there in real time for us. And I really appreciate that personally. Also, you see this moon icon here on the map. I just realized that. I wonder if it stays at the top. Maybe this moon will move the further into night we go, and then like a sun will come, kind of like Zelda Majora's Mask, if you guys have ever played that. It might be similar to that. That would be really cool. Okay, so these arrows that they have on the website, I believe are just showing, you know, how your gameplay loop is gonna look. You know, in the daytime, you catch Pokemon, in the nighttime, you can participate in the Battle Royale. And over here, you buy items and potions and stuff for status effects or whatever. And then here, you know, you see status effects happening. Now, actually, we saw this photo already earlier in the same video, but I want to also talk about how good the water effects look for water type moves. I have been thinking about water a lot in these Game Freak 3D Pokemon games. I might make a video on that too, but just know that I really like the way they look in attacks. I'm not sure how I feel about them in the gameplay when you see a body of water. And again, I might make a video on that like I've been thinking about doing, but I might not. All right, so here we have an image with our little Ampharos, and by little, I mean not so little, because they're actually almost the same height as us, so our Ampharos. And on the right here, we have some notes from the game that are happening in real time from something we did. So we got 2 wins. We can obviously read that because it's English. Now, this is all in Japanese because, again, this is a Japanese website. My Japanese is a little bit rusty, y'all. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. So I could take the time to loosely translate this for us on the spot here. Maybe I'll do it later and just comment it down below. Or maybe one of you can if you know Japanese and can translate it faster than me. However, you know, we got some Megastone or Megastone Energy or something here. Or maybe these are tasks that we need to complete. But we got the Megastone, we got a Lightning Bolt, and we have a Snowflake. So I am curious to know what those all mean. Now down here, you can't really see this because, again, the way that we're zoomed, I can show you from out here. You know, you can see it loosely right here. This is a mega gauge, and it's currently full within the screenshot. And we know how to fill that up, actually. We're going to talk about that later in this video because we see how we fill it up in some gameplay footage. But on top of these very specific details, I want to talk about the little details, the things that add up and that I really appreciate in video games. I love how they added things in the environment that may not have use in particular, but just show that the world is lived in. You know, you have a roadblock here, and then you have a box, you've got mailboxes and garbage cans, and then potted plants. You have these little plants just stacked in the middle with bushes and some grass. Just shows that they really manicured this city. It's just a nice, clean, well-developed city, and I love that. Some people might call it empty, but I mean, this is also the street at night, so I'm hoping in the daytime it's more full, but it's just a nice, clean street, and I really appreciate that because I love a good city, you know? I'm a city boy. I will say, I'm not sure if we can break these boxes because these do look kind of similar to the boxes we could break in Legends Arceus. So there is a chance that we can break those, but no promises. At least not from me because I don't work at Game Freak. Ooh, and one last detail on this image. You can see right here the entryway / exit point to this battle zone right here, this dark red spot. And then this is, I guess, an emblem just indicating that this is a battle royale zone. And look, there's a little flight symbol there, which means we can fly directly to these battle zones, presumably. I assume all of them will have a flight zone, at least at some point. So that's good to know. We'll have fast travel to all of these battle zones throughout the city. And I wonder where else we'll have flight zones. You know, probably Pokemon centers as per usual. And now we see battle zones, maybe the important buildings like the Hotel AZ and the Quasartico building, the Pokemon Research Lab where the new professor is, maybe the detective agency, things like that. So I'm excited for that. Okay, moving right along, we have the gameplay tab for the Japanese website. And again, I love the effects of the water type moves here. But here we also have another screenshot where we're looking at a Pichu from far away. This is really, look at how nice and the grass texture just looks really good here. I like that there's a dirt patch here, and then you have the grass over here, and then you got the big grass, and then the bigger grass that we're in. It looks like we can hide in the grass again, which is interesting. So it's a very Legends mechanic. This bush is super manicured because that looks like a cube, as cubey as a bush can get. That's crazy. Now the water, again, I'm going back and forth on the water, specifically in this game. It looks good here. It looks good. I'm just scared because they have this habit of making the water look a little too hazy. But here it looks pretty good. And I hope that this is indicative of what it's going to look like for the most part throughout the game. But again, high quality screenshot, everything looks good. We see the vignette here showing that we're hiding in the grass just like in Legends Arceus. I also noticed in Legends Arceus, sometimes the vignette would be white instead of dark. I wonder if it's always going to be dark now because I believe it was white during the day and dark during the night, or maybe it was just a glitch. I have no idea. But there you go. Vignette, high quality image. Little Pichu looks so tiny and so cute, and the environment looks pretty gorgeous, save for maybe just the fact that this is way too unnaturally cubey. But that's nitpicking, honestly. Like, look at this. They have this little vent here. Like, that's pretty good detail, you know? They put time into some of the more important things and took time from maybe some of the less important things. And I have to respect that in the sense that even though they had more time to work on this game than usual, they are still under those crunch hours that the Pokemon Company is subjecting them to. But this is respectable for the most part. We get a glimpse of the Pokedex, which we see in the English version as well. It looks really good. I love the futuristic aesthetic, you know, as a Pokedex should, because it's supposed to be a really high-tech piece of technology. And then here, we actually get a cleaner version of this gameplay that we had before. And it might not register for you guys as 60 frames a second because I'm recording through a stream program, but on the website, it is 60 frames. So if you guys want to take a look at that, here it is. And that jump, I used to think this was a jump cut with the previous footage because the frame rate was so bad, but now it shows like a moving camera back to the player at the end. So it's not a jump cut. It really is just the camera moving, and it is smooth and it looks good. Like seeing this in motion, it looks pretty good. Now that also does kind of make me a little worried because that means that this lack of turning animation that Chikorita just did is officially like more up to date because this looks like the Switch 2 version, which I assume is a more modern build. And I was talking in a previous video where I covered this footage about how Chikorita's turn animation, or lack thereof, was a regression because in some of the more recent footage from trailers, it showed that they were using turning animations after the fight. But watch, she's not going to use a turning animation after she finished. Yeah, see, she turned just on the axis without moving her limbs and then started moving. It doesn't look like the worst thing in the world, and it definitely was worse in the earliest footage we had of this, where sometimes they would just kind of like immediately turn and then kind of glitch out. It's not the worst, but it is weird because they program turning animations for every Pokemon, so why not just use them? They use them in Legends Arceus. You know, when you would throw your Pokemon out to do something and they would finish, they would use their turning animations to face you afterwards because there's no immediate danger at the moment. Maybe it's because there might be immediate danger right after you finish a Pokemon fight, so they don't want your Pokemon to get stuck in an animation. And it would probably look worse if the animation canceled in the middle. Maybe. That's me being very generous. But this footage is looking real good. Now we get some up-close fights with Houndour and our Totodile. Here's just before you start the fight, and it looks like we're at some sort of fair or street walk, something like that. You know, there's stands here. I don't see anyone there. Yeah, no, I don't see anyone manning the stands, which is kind of weird. And I don't think they would just disappear when you get into the fight. Maybe they're there at night. Maybe this is an area that's more lively at nighttime with people. It's hard to say. But either way, it's cool. It looks lived in the sense that there are these things that exist in this city. And we're just starting out the fight with Houndour here. And I think the next image is us fighting the Houndour. Yeah, here we go. Oh, but it's in a different location. Like this is a different stand in a different street. Interesting. Okay, well, we just damaged Houndour with a water gun, and somehow it didn't do that much damage. That was pretty weak. It's a level 17 Houndour, and we're level 15. Yeah, what the heck? We're level 15 and they're level 17. Why didn't that do more damage? Maybe the rebalancing doesn't make super effective as before. Maybe because it's real time, the moves do a lot less damage. Remember in Legends Arceus, the moves did more damage in general. Turns between two Pokemon would usually take a maximum of like 2 to 3 turns, depending on how strong they were. And that kept the pace of the game up, you know, because we were constantly transitioning between real time and turn-based. But since now everything is real time, maybe they want the matches to last a little bit longer so that we're more engaged as we play. And because we're more engaged as we play, it can last longer and still be entertaining. That's my take on it. Tepig looks so cute. And I guess as we're getting closer to the boundary, it kind of gets a little more transparent. I feel like they look more vibrant and dense when we're further away, and as we get closer, it's going to thin out like this. Like we only really see these green bars now, and then in between is empty rather than being filled with an ambient light. So that is an observation that I can glean from this otherwise seemingly useless image. The shadows look pretty good, the way they're cast from the tree, from Tepig, from our trainer. In motion, they don't look quite as good in the footage that we've seen so far, so I'm hoping the Switch 2 version will at least iron that out, but you never know. I do like the way the light is hitting this bush by comparison. That's very nice. And, oh, look right here. It looks like Tepig did something. They picked up something. It looks like a carrot emoji. Maybe they picked up an item on the ground just now for us. So I'm curious to see how they might do that. We saw how they can break objects in the overworld with even ranged attacks now. I talked about that in a previous video, but picking up items might also have different ways that they can do it, or just look different in general than it did in Legends Arceus and even Scarlet Violet. Something of kind of interesting note here is I feel like this is the only mega image I have not seen prior to just now. Is this new? Like, is this only on the Japanese website? Has anyone else seen this? The Mega Altaria screenshot? What is interesting about this to me is how high up we are. Are we doing this off the top of a rooftop? Or can we send our Altaria or flying Pokemon up this high in the sky and then go into photo mode and move our camera up there? Most curious, because we know that the camera for photo mode can be used outside of just our trainer now for the first time in mainline Pokemon. So I am very curious about how Altaria is up here, how the camera's up here with them, and if this is something that we can do from the ground level down here. Or we could just be up on a rooftop, like I said. Oh, and here's that dual art that I was talking about earlier with the diagonal cut here, and then you have the daytime wallpaper and then the nighttime wallpaper, and I love how they made them step through these. I've made thumbnails in this style before and they never do well, and I wonder why, because I think that's so aesthetically pleasing. But this looks great. I love this artwork, honestly. Might even be a wallpaper on my phone soon. All right, so now here is the screenshots that other YouTubers have covered and that I have not covered yet. Now, this video is courtesy of Jorio. Right here, you can see them here. I don't know where they grabbed these screenshots from. I'll be honest. I have scoured the website. I have scoured the Pokemon Championships website. Still have not found these. I don't know where they found them, so credits to Jorio. I don't know where you found these, but we're gonna use your video to look at these and talk about them a bit here. This is kind of like YouTube Inception, where we're getting real meta here. You're watching a YouTube video via a YouTube video on YouTube. So Jorio also does this thing where they start zoomed in and they zoom out onto the full screenshot. So you guys are gonna get a little bit of a dynamic shot there. So this is our trainer and Lucario just looking over at Esper and their trainer. They're about to sneak up on them. They're gonna hit them real good. They're gonna get that chance with the extra time. We see another battle zone in the background here. Other than the fact that this just looks really crisp, I don't have much to say about this shot. It's more of the same of what we've seen so far within all the footage we've seen. Now this is a little bit different. We can see these spikes that Onyx is probably the one that released them here. We saw this in previous footage. This is, what's that move called? It's not called Spikes, although there is a move called Spikes that acts similar. Something about Stone. You guys know it. So you set these shards out, and the way it works in this real-time battle system is if your Pokemon walks into them, they get hurt. And wow, this is a really close fight. Like, look at how close the trainer is to his Onyx. Look at how we're a little bit further away because we're smart. And Victory Bell looks kind of big here, which I love. You know me, I love large. I love to see the difference in sizes. You know, I kind of wish Onyx was as large as this Victory Bell. I'm hoping Alpha Onyx is. I'm hoping. I really want to see some scale between large Pokemon and small Pokemon. As for what attacks are being happened here, I can't tell if this is Onyx using another attack on Victory Bell or Victory Bell using attacks on Onyx. Probably Onyx using an attack on Victory Bell because this looks like dirt. And Onyx is rock type. And I think rock ground, maybe just rock, I forget. And Victory Bell, I mean, should theoretically win this fight regardless, but we don't see any stats on their health bars or anything. But all in all, it's a pretty good looking screenshot, but nothing special aside from that. Now this, we got, Jorio zoomed in real close to this at the beginning, and you can see these like valleys and peaks in the back with trees. It looks, for a draw distance that far in a game that shouldn't care much about what's outside of the city, this looks pretty good in my opinion. I think it looks pretty good. And the more that this zooms out to the full image, the better it gets, because we're from this far and that's the draw distance and it looks that good. Look at how varied the clouds look. Even with the distance fog that the game has in place, you can still very clearly see the clouds from far away and other kinds of thicker fog that go over the mountains in the back. That is just very visually pleasing, and I really, really enjoy that. Prism Tower looks very nice and very full of presence in the center here, as it should. You know, it's the centerpiece of the city. And then we got these rooftops. You got this little bend in here with some construction that we've seen in several shots before in trailers as well. And something like some barricades, or maybe this is a balcony, but it's like 3D rendered rather than just like pasted PNG onto the wall like most of the windows are and balconies are. Either way, interesting. I still can't wait to explore the city. And this looks pretty good. The time of day of this and the weather effect is something we haven't seen before, I don't think, out of ZA in footage or screenshots. But this looks really good, and I really like the way the light illuminates from here. Let's move on to the next one. Now, I don't know if this is actually a screenshot or if this is someone photoshopped this together, because I swear this is pieces of other things we've seen. But maybe not, because this Alpha, I forgot its name, but we haven't seen it walking like this before. So maybe this is a real screenshot, but like, what are all these trainers doing? They're all doing something different in different directions. I don't know what's going on here. And this looks like the way that it kind of fades out in quality over here and is darker, and the whole thing kind of has this like not deep black look to it when you know that the game does. Looks like this is an image on like a magazine that someone snapped a picture of with their phone or something, or a camera. Like, this looks like a screenshot of a screenshot, which makes me even more confused about it because I can't tell if it's photoshopped or if it's a real screenshot. But let's continue right along because there is more that Joria has to show us. Yes, here is Haunter getting hit by something, or maybe we're releasing it from its rage if it was alpha, or maybe releasing it from its rage if it was a mega evolve. Well, no, you can't mega evolve a Haunter. You can mega evolve a Gengar. So yeah, probably the former of what I was just saying. Again, nothing much to say here. The blur and zoom effect looks good, especially at nighttime with the lights and everything in the back. Looks real good. The effects look good. I like the cartoony aesthetic of them. You know, they don't go for like a more realism art style, which is good. I feel like they should not go for realism art style. Cartoony is better. I still think they should go on cell shaded, but you know, for an uncell shaded game, this still looks pretty good. I think this is the last screenshot, but oh no, just kidding. Here's Dedenne to prove us wrong. And someone tell me if this is a new design for Furfuro, because I have such vague memories of X and Y. I don't remember much. Okay, so here's what I was talking about earlier, how we can fill the Mega Gauge, which you can see at the bottom right here. You see, we picked up an orb. Here, they're going to slow it down for us. There's an orb that's going to shoot out. Yeah, look at that. We're going to pick it up, and it's going to fill the Mega Gauge. And then for some reason, they show Pokken footage because oh yeah, they're showing how that's a Mega symbol. So that's how we're going to fill that, at least in boss fights. I don't know how we're going to fill it otherwise. Maybe there's other methods to it. Maybe it refills every time we go to a Pokemon Center. Who knows, right? But in the heat of a battle like this, where we might Mega Evolve several times, maybe, possibly, because the boss has a huge health bar, we're going to want to pick up these orbs during the fight. And that's just another action mechanic, because we're going to have to be positioned well to do that. And that's very nice too. Now, I don't think there's anything else useful in this video. No, I think that was the last thing. So that is the footage of screenshots that I wanted to show you guys today. Now, if you noticed anything that I didn't notice, please comment it down below so that we can talk about it and look at it together. If there's more images and screenshots, please DM me on social media so that I can look at them as well. And other than that, feel free to watch more of my videos like this one here, where I discussed the last batch of secrets that the websites put out. I didn't talk about those ones here, so give that video a watch if you'd like. The link is in front of you or in the pinned comment. For those of you who like what I do, want to support me, and even have your name featured at the end of all of my videos, then please feel free to join my Patreon with the link in front of you or in the description. I've been JotoJohnny, and I will catch you all there.